In the last video, we configured our audio mixers, so that in this video, we can get started right away by adding audio effects. It's worth noting that in this chapter, most of the audio effects have already been added for you. This is because most of the work of adding audio effects is fairly simple. And I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me perform the same steps over and over and over again. Instead, I've identified two things that we're going to add, which is going to represent pretty much how we do the work for all things in the Zombie Toys project. First, I'm going to go ahead and add some enemy audio. I'm going to go down to my prefabs folder and then my characters subfolder. Here I can see all the character prefabs in my game. If I look at most of these, I can see that there's already an audio source set up on them. However, I've intentionally not set up Zombunny so we can walk through the process. Zombunny requires a couple things to work. First, it needs an audio source, which is obviously how we play audio clips. The second is that since enemies are pooled to be reused over and over again, we need to tell our scripts which sound effects are our death audio clip or our hurt audio clip. I'm going to start by adding an audio source by clicking Add Component, Audio, Audio Source. The enemy should not make a hurt sound when it first starts up, so I'm going to uncheck Play on Awake. Furthermore, I'm going to click the circle selector right next to Output, which is going to show me all of the channels or audio groups available to me. Since this is an enemy, I'm going to assign it to the enemy's audio group. I don't need to apply an audio clip right now, as that will be added for me in my script. On my enemy health script, I can see a property for an audio source and also two audio clips. I'm simply going to click the audio source component up to the audio source property, and that will link the two. I'm then going to click the circle selector next to death clip, and I'm going to locate the Zombunny death clip. I'm going to do the same for the hurt clip. Now, I'm going to press play. The first enemy I should encounter is a Zombunny. When I shoot it, I should hear it get hurt, and then when I shoot it again, it should die. The next thing we want to do is we want to provide some information to the person playing the game. As we've seen in the past, when the enemies stand around the player will eventually just sort of drop dead. We really want the player to know when the enemy is being hurt by hearing some sound. I'm going to click on the boy game object in my scene, and I'm going to go ahead and add audio to the boy game object. I'm going to start by clicking Add Component, Audio, Audio Source. Again, the boy doesn't take damage when it first starts, so I'm going to uncheck Play on Awake. For the output, I'm going to choose the player audio group. For the audio clip, I'm going to click on the circle selector next to the audio clip property. The audio clip I'm going to choose is the player hurt audio clip. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and look at the player health script. Again, I'm going to notice a property for an audio source, and I'm going to notice a property for a death clip. Clicking the circle selector next to the death clip allows me to choose the player death audio clip. I'm going to click and drag the audio source onto the audio source property of the player health script. When I press play and an enemy runs into me, I'll hear the player get injured. When the player gets injured enough, I'll hear that the player is defeated. Finally, we're able to see that the player can attack with their lightning. However, visuals aren't enough to really sell this attack. Therefore, we're going to add some audio. The lightning has two audio parts. The first audio part is the sound of the lightning bolt. The second audio part is the sound of the lightning hit. I'm going to start by expanding the boy game object, and then the antenna game object, and then the lightning attack, and selecting the lightning bolt. With the lightning bolt game object selected, I'm going to click Add Component, Audio, Audio Source. The audio clip for this audio source is going to be Weapon Elec Attack 01, meaning Weapon Electric Attack 01, meaning my lightning bolt. For my output, I'm going to choose the weapons audio group. Since the lightning bolt is generally off by default and is turned on when it needs to play its effect, we can leave the Play on Awake checked. That way, when we turn this object on or enable this game object, we'll hear the audio source. Then, when we disable it and then re-enable it, we'll just hear it again. This way, whenever our lightning bolt appears, we'll hear our audio source. When I click play and then click, I can hear the lightning bolt. For the lightning hit, I'm going to expand the attack effects. There, I have the lightning hit game object. You'll recall, we added the AV player script to this lightning hit game object so that it could play the appropriate particle effects. We're also going to use this script to play the appropriate audio effect as well. I'm going to click Add Component, Audio, Audio Source. And then for the audio clip, I'm going to choose Weapon Elec Hit 01. For the output, again, this is going to be a part of the weapons audio group on the sound effects mixer. Since the playing of this will be controlled by the AV player script, I'm going to uncheck Play on Awake. Since the AV player needs to know about the audio source, I'm going to click and drag the audio source onto it. Now when I press play and click, I'll hear the lightning bolt and the lightning hit. The last thing I need to do is make a slight adjustment to my audio mixer. I'm going to click on the sound effects audio mixer and notice that the weapons is playing at the same volume as the player and the enemies. The weapon audio tends to be a little bit more harsh, and so probably should be toned down a little bit so it doesn't overpower the other sound effects in our game. I'm going to reduce this down to about -6. Now, the weapons will play just a bit quieter than the player or the enemy effects, and therefore it will be easier to hear the player and enemy effects amidst the chaos of this game.